I'm going to, excuse me, try this again. Sorry. I've been posting these, today is April 1st, 2026, and I've been posting these videos as a form of therapy to recover from the trauma of watching my 64-year-old little brother with Down syndrome be locked away by the British Columbia New Democratic Party government, David Eby as leader and Nikki Sharma as Attorney General. They locked Paul up for 588 days after September 12th of 2022, when I complained to the Burnaby RCMP after I discovered a secret and what I alleged to be a fraudulent and forged power of attorney the government created to give Paul the COVID-19 shot. They appointed, for all intents and purposes, for every decision, my 82-year-old Catholic nun sister 4,000 kilometers away in Ontario as Paul's guardian. This nun did not understand, had never lived with Paul, had only met him a few times over the course of his life, and did not understand his speech or communication. I did everything in my power to try and restore Paul's visits and his freedom, but I went to the Supreme Court of Canada twice, but I was never granted leave to appeal. On April 13th of 2024, Paul had what appeared to be a stroke. He was hospitalized at Burnaby Hospital. My sister left him alone there for 2 days and didn't inform me as his only living local relative until she had flown into town. And she allowed me thereafter, for the 10 days that he survived, a 10-minute-a-day visit. And I just sat in the hallway for 10 to 12 hours. During that time, he appeared to me to be recovering remarkably well, astonishingly well. He grabbed my hand and squeezed it tight when I said my name. He sat up, grabbed a book from my hand, turned the pages perfectly, looked at the pictures perfectly. I was amazed at how well he was recovering. Then the nun found out that I'd been contacted by the Burnaby RCMP. They telephoned me and emailed me a letter that was a month old. So she already knew that they had been ordered to reopen the investigation into this fraudulent and forged power of attorney, and Paul was dead within 2 hours. She ordered that his doctor, Michael Baker, remove his oxygen, his ventilator, and he appeared to me to be sedated to death. His eyes were wide open and unblinking. So she said to me, without looking me in the eye, when I walked in the room for my visit, she said, "Say goodbye to Paul, he's dying." But she wouldn't look me in the eye. One thing I've learned over my career as a psychologist and then a lawyer is that when people won't look you in the eye, they're lying. He wasn't dying, he was being killed. After Paul died, my sister flew in her lawyer from Ontario, from Ottawa, and her law firm, Borden Ladner Gervais, the largest, I believe it's the largest law firm in Canada, and had a 4-day hearing, which I couldn't attend for doctors, according to my doctors, and had me declared a vexatious litigant. It's a very rare designation, which takes away all of my rights. So the government of British Columbia, David Eby, took away all of my little brother's rights guaranteed by the charter and by being a human being, and then they took away all of my rights. So I can't defend myself from a suit. I cannot bring a suit. I cannot go to court, although I practiced law for 26 years and very successfully for the most part. So that's the background. And while this was all going on, I had been posting videos on YouTube about when I discovered Canada's expansion of, or its euthanasia scheme, so killing of innocent, vulnerable Canadians by lethal injection using doctors, doctors and nurses to kill, and then calling it medical assistance. The word medical is from the Greek, to heal, and killing people does not heal them. I mean, that's on its face. But I've been struggling with this, and so I had been posting videos, YouTube crashed my entire channel, took it down. I lost all of my videos, like little grandma, homemade videos. Everything was wiped out. LinkedIn will not allow me to have an identity or to be on LinkedIn. And Twitter or X has told me that I can never be a member. I can never post on Twitter or X. After I started posting these anti-Canadian euthanasia posts, just my struggling with what was going on and trying to understand. The euthanasia was legalized not by the Parliament of Canada. So killing innocent, vulnerable people, using taxpayer dollars to kill extrajudicially vulnerable people was never voted. You never voted for a party where that was part of their platform. What happened was in February of 2015, the Supreme Court of Canada unanimously, but with Chief Justice Beverly McLaughlin as the Chief Justice, had an unattributed decision where they allowed a woman who had spinal stenosis to be killed by a doctor or nurse. They didn't specify any precautions that would be taken to prevent abuse of this. They just said they were sure that there would be provisions put in place. What actually happened was the person, Kay Carter, was already dead, had long been dead. She had gone to Switzerland, and Switzerland had killed her. But the Supreme Court of Canada focused entirely on the discomfort of and the wishes of Kay Carter, not taking into account the many millions of other Canadian citizens that would be negatively impacted by this scheme. And they said that by the time she was sick enough to be terminally ill, she might not be able to actually kill herself. And that was unfair. And to accommodate that unfairness, very specifically, to accommodate the unfairness to a person who was already long dead, they said that they allowed doctors and nurses in Canada to kill people by lethal injection. And so I knew, being a student of military history, I studied World War II in depth, Hitler. I read all of Winston Churchill's books on World War II, what led up to it. He had a book called The Gathering Storm. And what Hitler did was he started, as all of these diabolical schemes do, by killing disabled and ill people in the sanatoriums and hospitals of Germany. And he killed 350 by gassing them, the same way that he ended up gassing Jewish people, gypsies, Polish people. He killed by gas innocent and vulnerable German people. And at the time, there was no real outcry. I guess people thought this is the modern way that you kill people. Hitler called them useless mouths. Now, where Canada is at right now, Canada, by July of 2026, Canada will have used your tax dollars to pay regular, ordinary treating doctors and nurses to kill extrajudicially. So with no legal or judicial oversight whatsoever. There's a piece of paper, the doctor, the nurse, puts their signature on the piece of paper. The individual that they want to kill, that they've offered death to and who has accepted it or who was asked to be killed, puts their signature on the piece of paper. Nobody checks even to see if there's a typo or a forgery or any of the things that happened. As I said, my brother's signature on the document appointing my sister as his guardian was obviously to me a forgery. He could only print one word it took me a year as a little girl to teach him. That was his first name, Paul. So I could see by the signature on this power of attorney the government created that it was a forgery. But to get back to euthanasia, what I've been struggling with is what people say to me is that it's unfair to a person who's uncomfortable to deny them what might be relief from their suffering. And I've been struggling with, how do you answer that? And one of the answers that I have is that we don't give people every single thing that we want. The example that I gave our AI, Gemini AI, I said, well, having Taylor Swift's engagement ring might solve all of my problems, but no one's going to get, and it would be easy for her to hand it to me, but no one is going to hand me Taylor Swift's engagement ring. Well, it might be easy to kill somebody, but that doesn't mean that that's what we should do, this is how AI put my argument. I asked AI why euthanasia was wrong, and this is what it said. A society can't base its ethics on individual wishes alone. Some choices, once permitted, reshape the safety of entire groups. So I'm exactly precisely the type of person that Justin Trudeau had in mind when he set up this euthanasia scheme, and that perhaps Chief Justice Beverly McLaughlin, who, by the way, immediately after making that decision, which resulted in the deaths of will have resulted in the deaths of more than 100 innocent, vulnerable Canadians by July 2026, she immediately went to work for 6 years for the Chinese Hong Kong Court of Appeals and was paid a salary. And I think that there's an issue of, was she negotiating for that position at the time that she reversed herself and made a decision allowing for what will soon be 100,000 Canadians to be killed extrajudicially. Anyways, that was Gemini's answer to, or artificial AI's trying to sum up that complex argument, was that we can give people, it would be possible to fulfill people's wishes in all kinds of ways, but that we don't do it. And there's reasons we don't do it. Nobody's going to hand me, nor should they hand me Taylor Swift's engagement ring. And we do not give people death, even if they ask for it, because it has unintended or can have unintended consequences on the entire rest of the societal fabric, in that it's going to frighten people like me. I'm disabled. I have a heart condition. I'm exactly the kind of person Supreme Court of Canada had in mind for the type of person that they would want to have the opportunity to be killed by lethal injection. I'm an adult survivor of child sexual assault. I attempted suicide myself when I was 15. From time to time, I've had suicidal ideation. So I'm exactly the kind of person they have in mind when they're thinking of who should be killed by lethal injection. But what it does is it terrifies, as only one unintended consequence, of which there's going to be many, is that it terrifies people who are already marginalized, who are already vulnerable, because they think, if I go into an emergency, as happened to a Canadian woman a few months ago, an 84-year-old woman with a broken tailbone went into emergency without even asking what her problem was. A young physician walked up and said, "We've decided we're going to offer you medical assistance in dying," which is a euphemism of the worst kind, because it misrepresents the word medical. So it terrifies me. I'm hoping that when I go to emergency, they're going to try and heal me if they can't. And if they can't heal me, that they'll either relieve my pain with medication, or they'll leave me the fuck alone. And there's many, many people in Canada who are in the same situation as me. And even if I asked to be killed, I hope to, I had the comfort before February of 2015, I had the comfort of knowing the government wasn't, you're going to use taxpayer dollars to kill me. No matter what I said, no matter how I expressed myself, the government was not going to, as is the case with every society in the globe that is successful, and even very barbaric, unsuccessful ones, do not kill innocent, vulnerable, ill, and disabled people. So I'll just say again how AI summed it up. A society can't base its ethics on individual wishes alone. Some choices, once permitted, reshape the safety of entire groups. People are going to say, well, what about abortion? There should be abortion on demand. I don't want to get into abortion because it's a whole different kettle of fish. But the putative goal of abortion is for healing and is to protect the life of the mother. In law, for the last, well, as long as there's been written law in Western societies, a person is not a person until they're born and they take their first breath. So abortion, and I don't agree with it, but abortion, as horrible as it is, can contribute to the greater good of helping that mother survive, or you can argue that there is a healing aspect to it. Although, as I said, I don't want to get into it. I'm talking about the state using my tax dollars to kill vulnerable, already marginalized groups. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Please share this video far and wide. I'm struggling with how to express why I feel this is wrong. It is as wrong as anything can ever be wrong. And we've already been to this rodeo. We were in this rodeo in the 1930s in Germany when Hitler killed all the sick and disabled people. And we saw what happened. We were brought to the brink of annihilation with nuclear war in August of 1945. Do we need to go through that all over again? I hope not. I hope not. Thank you.